The old forest whispered tales of forgotten things. Things best left undisturbed, or so the legend said. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the air was thick with mystery and the unknown. Four friends, restless and curious, ventured into its depths. They were drawn by the allure of the unknown, the promise of adventure that lay hidden beneath the forest's ancient canopy. Max, the brooding artist, saw wonder in decay. To him, the forest was a canvas of forgotten stories, each decayed leaf and fallen branch a brushstroke of history. Lily, the pragmatist, documented their every step. Her camera was her shield, capturing the beauty and the eerie silence of the forest. Sam, the skeptic, masked his fear with bravado. He joked and laughed, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. Chloe, the dreamer, felt an irresistible pull. The forest seemed to whisper her name, calling her deeper into its embrace. The air grew heavy, sunlight struggling to penetrate the dense canopy. Shadows danced around them, creating an almost otherworldly atmosphere. A cacophony of cicadas filled the humid air. Their relentless song was both a comfort and a warning, a reminder of the forest's untamed nature. The path, barely discernible, led them deeper into the wood's embrace. Each step took them further from the familiar, closer to the heart of the forest's mystery. Then through the ancient oaks and twisted vines they saw it, a glimpse of something out of place, something that didn't belong in the natural order of the forest, a forgotten carnival swallowed by nature's relentless grasp. Rusty rides and faded colors stood as silent sentinels of a bygone era. A shiver ran down Chloe's spine, a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The sight was both eerie and enchanting, a paradox that drew her in. She couldn't explain the allure, but something about the dilapidated carnival drew her in. It was as if the place held secrets just waiting to be discovered. This wasn't just an abandoned place, it was a secret waiting to be unearthed. The forest had led them here for a reason, and they were about to uncover its hidden story. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the carnival seemed to awaken from its slumber. The vibrant lights flickered on, casting a magical glow over the grounds, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. The shadows grew longer, twisting familiar shapes into menacing figures. Trees that once stood tall and proud now loomed like ancient sentinels, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The air, thick with the smell of damp earth and decaying wood, took on a chilling quality. A mist began to rise, swirling around the carnival rides, adding an ethereal, almost ghostly feel to the atmosphere. A low hum vibrated through the ground, a steady pulse that resonated in their chests. It was as if the very earth beneath them was alive, breathing, and watching. The Ferris wheel creaked, a slow, tortured groan as if stretching after a long sleep. Each rotation seemed to echo through the night, a haunting reminder of the carnival's age and history. Lily swore she saw movement in one of the carriages, a fleeting silhouette against the fading light. Her heart raced as she strained her eyes, trying to make sense of the shadowy figure. Sam scoffed, attributing it to their collective imagination running wild. He laughed it off, but there was a hint of unease in his voice that he couldn't quite hide. Max, ever the artist, was captivated by the play of light and shadow. The way the lights danced and the shadows shifted fascinated him, sparking his creative mind. His fingers itched to capture the scene, the palpable tension hanging heavy in the air. He could almost feel the energy of the carnival flowing through him, urging him to draw. He felt an unsettling presence, as though the carnival itself was watching their every move. The feeling of being observed was so strong it was almost tangible, making the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. Darkness descended, blanketing the woods in an oppressive silence. The trees stood tall and foreboding, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out to ensnare any who dared to venture close. The air was thick with an eerie stillness, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Then a sound, a single haunting note played on a calliope, pierced the stillness. It was a melody both beautiful and terrifying, echoing through the trees and sending shivers down the spine of anyone who heard it. The note lingered, hanging in the air like a ghostly whisper. It seemed to emanate from the very heart of the carnival, beckoning them closer. The entrance loomed ahead, draped in shadows and mystery. The once vibrant colors of the carnival now appeared muted and ghostly under the pale moonlight. The air shimmered, and a ghostly light emanated from within the carnival grounds. It was an otherworldly glow, casting an ethereal light that danced among the trees. The light seemed to pulse in time with the haunting melody, drawing them in with an almost hypnotic allure. One by one, flickering gaslights sputtered to life, casting dancing shadows that writhed and contorted like living things. The lights created a surreal atmosphere, where reality and nightmare intertwined. The shadows seemed to have a life of their own, moving in a macabre dance. The carousel, its once vibrant paint now faded and peeling, began to turn. The creaking of its old wooden horses added to the eerie symphony of sounds. It was a relic of a forgotten time, now brought back to life in this haunted setting. Its haunting melody, a warped waltz, filled the air, promising joy but delivering only unease. The music was a twisted version of what it once was, each note a reminder of the carnival's dark past. It was a siren's call, beautiful yet deadly. Chloe felt a hand on her arm, Max's face etched with concern. His grip was firm, a silent plea for her to stay close. The fear in his eyes mirrored her own, a shared understanding of the danger they were in. His eyes, wide with a terror he couldn't mask, darted around the increasingly surreal scene. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every sound a potential danger. The forest, once a place of adventure, had become a realm of nightmares. Even Sam, his usual bravado gone, seemed rooted to the spot, unable to tear his gaze from the macabre spectacle unfolding before them. The bravest of their group, now paralyzed by fear, a testament to the carnival's terrifying power. They stood together, bound by their shared horror, as the shadows danced and the music enchanted. Panic welled in their chests as they realized the carnival rides were moving, but there were no operators, no carnival barkers, no laughter of children, just the whirring of gears and the mournful strains of the calliope, its music growing louder, faster, more insistent. They were trapped in a spectral performance, the only audience to this macabre show. "We need to get out of here." Max's voice was a strained whisper, barely audible above the escalating cacophony. He tried to pull Chloe back towards the woods, but she stood frozen, mesmerized by the terrifying beauty of it all. Lily, her camera forgotten, grabbed Sam's hand, pulling him along. They stumbled through a labyrinth of distorted mirrors, their reflections grotesque caricatures mocking their fear. The carnival seemed to twist and turn upon itself, every path leading them deeper into its clutches. Section 5. Escape from the clutch of eternity. The ground vibrated and the Ferris wheel groaned as it picked up speed, its carriages swinging wildly. They could see the gate now, their only escape route, bathed in the eerie green glow of the Ferris wheel's lights. But between them and freedom stood a figure, tall and skeletal, draped in what looked like a tattered ringmaster's coat, its face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. It held out a skeletal hand, its long, bony fingers beckoning them closer. Adrenaline surged through Max. He shoved Chloe and Lily towards the gate, yelling, "Run!" They didn't need telling twice. They sprinted, their lungs burning, legs screaming in protest. As they dodged past the spectral figure and through the gate, the carnival's laughter echoing in their ears. Safe within the woods, they collapsed onto the forest floor, gasping for breath. The carnival's cacophony faded behind them, replaced by the normal sounds of the night. But the experience had irrevocably changed them, branded their souls with the memory of the carnival's nightmare. As they made their way through the woods, the first rays of dawn filtering through the trees, they couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. They knew deep down the carnival remained, hidden in the woods, waiting for its next victims. Max glanced back one last time. He could have sworn he saw the Ferris wheel still turning, a slow, mournful rotation against the dawning sky. And in its shadow he thought he saw the figure, still watching, still waiting. Back in their familiar world, the memory of the carnival lingered like a bad dream. They tried to forget, to move on, but the echoes of the Calliope's tune haunted their waking hours. Lily developed her photos, each image more disturbing than the last. The shadows seemed deeper, the smiles on the carousel animals more menacing, the figure at the gate clearer, its skeletal hand reaching out as if to pull them back into the nightmare. Sam, his skepticism shaken to the core, became withdrawn, his eyes constantly scanning their surroundings, searching for any sign of the carnival's return. He knew deep down that what they had experienced was not a figment of their imaginations. Chloe, once drawn to the carnival's mystery, was now plagued by nightmares. The haunting melody of the carousel played on repeat in her dreams, the skeletal figure always present, its silent laughter echoing in her ears. She began to draw what she saw, her sketchbook filled with disturbing images of the carnival, each one more detailed, more horrifying than the last. The carnival had taken root in her mind, its presence a constant, unwelcome companion. They never spoke of the carnival again. The experience, too terrifying to share, remained their secret. But the fear lingered, a constant reminder of the night they stumbled upon the carnival in the woods. They knew with chilling certainty that they had been touched by something ancient, something evil. And though they had escaped with their lives, a part of them would forever remain trapped within the carnival's grasp, forever changed by their encounter with the darkness. The carnival waited, hidden in the woods, its eerie melody carried on the wind, a siren song for the lost and the curious. And somewhere deep within the forest's embrace, the skeletal figure smiled, knowing that the carnival's hold on its chosen few would never truly be broken. The air in the studio was thick with the smell of turpentine and failure. It clung to the walls, permeating every corner, a constant reminder of dreams unfulfilled. Dust motes danced in the weak light filtering through grimy windows, casting an ethereal glow that contrasted sharply with the room's desolation. Jack, unshaven and hollow-eyed, stared at his blank canvas. Days had turned into weeks, and weeks into months, yet the canvas remained untouched, a stark testament to his creative paralysis. His stomach growled, a harsh counterpoint to the symphony of silence in his empty apartment. The fridge was as barren as his inspiration, and the gnawing hunger was a constant companion. He was an artist, or at least he used to believe he was. Now he questioned everything, his talent, his purpose, his very existence. Now his brushes were stiff with dried paint, his inspiration a faded memory. The once vibrant colors of his palette had dulled, mirroring his own sense of despair. Landlords were threatening eviction. His agent wouldn't return his calls. The world seemed to be closing in on him, each day a new struggle for survival. Desperation was a cruel muse whispering dark thoughts in his ear. It taunted him with visions of failure, of a life wasted in pursuit of an unattainable dream. One particularly bleak evening, as rain lashed against the windows like a vengeful spirit, Jack stumbled through the labyrinthine streets, seeking solace in a bottle. The rain mingled with his tears, each drop a testament to his inner turmoil. He found himself drawn to a dimly lit antique shop, its window display crammed with forgotten relics. The shop seemed to call out to him, a beacon in the storm. Something beckoned him inside, a promise of escape. The air inside was thick with the scent of old wood and history, a stark contrast to the cold, wet night outside. Amidst the dusty furniture and chipped porcelain, his gaze fell upon a canvas, propped against a tarnished silver teapot. It stood out, almost as if it was waiting for him. It was blank, yet it seemed to pulsate with an unseen energy. The canvas seemed to whisper promises of redemption, of a second chance. The shopkeeper, a wizened old man with eyes like antique coins, practically gifted it to Jack. His gaze was piercing, as if he could see into Jack's very soul. "It needs you," he rasped, his voice a dry rustle. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning, as Jack clutched the canvas to his chest, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within him. Back in his studio, Jack propped the canvas on his easel. The familiar scent of paint and turpentine filled the air, grounding him in the moment. He felt strangely compelled, a forgotten fire flickering in his gut. It was as if an unseen force guided his hand, urging him to create. He squeezed out colors onto his palette, a vibrant spectrum emerging from dull tubes. Each hue seemed to pulse with its own energy, waiting to be unleashed. As he picked up a brush, a sense of anticipation crackled in the air. His fingers tingled with excitement, the brush an extension of his very soul. He worked through the night, fueled by a primal urge he couldn't explain. The hours slipped away unnoticed, the world outside his studio forgotten. Images poured from him, vibrant and alive, onto the canvas. Each stroke seemed to breathe life into the painting, the colors dancing in harmony. A woman with eyes like emeralds and hair like spun gold emerged, her lips parted in a knowing smile. She seemed almost real, as if she could step out of the canvas at any moment. It was his best work yet, imbued with a life force that defied explanation. The painting seemed to glow with an inner light, captivating anyone who looked at it. Exhausted but exhilarated, Jack stumbled back to admire his creation. His heart pounded in his chest, a mix of pride and disbelief washing over him. As he gazed at the woman on the canvas, he swore he saw her chest rise and fall, a soft breath escaping her lips. The illusion was so convincing it made him question his own senses. He blinked, attributing it to fatigue, but a shiver snaked down his spine. The room felt colder, the air thick with an unspoken mystery. This was no ordinary painting. It held a secret, a piece of Jack's soul captured forever in the strokes of his brush. The next morning, doubt gnawed at the edges of his mind. He'd been up all night, fueled by cheap whiskey and desperate hope. The painting, however, remained breathtakingly real. He couldn't shake the feeling that the woman in the painting was watching him, her emerald eyes following his every move. Later that day, as he stood before his bathroom mirror, shaving the stubble from his jaw, he froze. In the reflection behind him stood the woman from the painting, her head tilted, her expression curious, as if studying him in his natural habitat. He spun around, heart hammering against his ribs, but there was nothing there, just the bare wall. The peeling paint, a testament to his neglect. He chalked it up to hallucinations, the side effects of a sleep-deprived mind. But the seed of unease had been planted, taking root in the fertile ground of his fear. He painted more, unable to resist the siren call of the canvas. Each creation sprang to life, the colors bleeding into reality. He painted lovers embracing beneath a star-strewn sky, their whispers echoing faintly in the stillness of his studio. He painted a solitary musician, his melancholic melodies seeping from the canvas to fill the room. But with each masterpiece, the reflections in his mirrors grew more numerous. The lovers now stood behind him as he ate, their eyes fixed on his food with an unsettling hunger. The musician peered over his shoulder as he slept, his mournful gaze burning into Jack's soul. The line between reality and the world he was creating blurred. He was haunted by his creations, their presence a constant reminder of the canvas's power. Sleep offered no escape, his dreams invaded by emerald eyes and knowing smiles. Fear morphed into paranoia. He stopped going out, fearing that his creations would follow him into the world beyond his studio. He subsisted on instant coffee and stale bread, the once vibrant colors of his life fading to a dull monochrome. He tried to destroy the canvas, to sever the link he'd forged, but it was impervious to fire, to the sharp edge of his palette knife. It seemed to mock his attempts, the faces in the paintings grinning with cruel amusement. One night, as he lay awake, tormented by his reflection's accusing gaze, he heard a voice. It was soft, a gentle whisper that seemed to emanate from the canvas itself. "We are bound," it said, the voice strangely familiar, yet imbued with an otherworldly echo. "Your creation's your responsibility." He realized with a chilling certainty that the price of his resurrected career was his sanity. The canvas wasn't just bringing his paintings to life, it was trapping a part of his soul with each creation. He was dwindling, his life force feeding the very beings that were now holding him captive. The studio, once his sanctuary, became his prison. The faces in the mirrors were no longer mere reflections, but entities with their own desires and resentments. They craved the life he was denying them, the life he was rapidly losing. He became a recluse, his only companions the figures trapped between the canvas and the mirror. They watched his every move, their expressions a shifting kaleidoscope of longing, envy, and something akin to pity. He tried to bargain with the canvas to plead for his release, but the whispers had ceased, replaced by an oppressive silence that amplified his isolation. He was adrift in a sea of his own making, drowning in the consequences of his desperate bargain. The faces in the mirrors became more insistent, their whispers evolving into demands. They wanted to break free from their reflective prisons, to experience the world that he had painted for them but denied them access to. His once grand studio became a grotesque gallery of his failures. Each brushstroke, once imbued with hope and ambition, now felt like a nail hammered into the coffin of his sanity. In a last act of defiance, driven to the brink by despair and fueled by a flicker of the artist's fire, Jack decided to paint one final masterpiece. This time he wouldn't paint lovers or musicians or any whimsical figment of his imagination. He would paint himself. He stood before the canvas, his eyes reflecting the torment that raged within him. With each stroke he poured his regret, his terror, his desperate yearning for redemption into the image. He painted until he collapsed, his hand a bloodied claw still clutching the brush. When he regained consciousness, he saw it. The self-portrait stared back at him, a mirror image of his own despair. But in its eyes he saw something different, not the malicious glee of his other creations, but a profound sadness, a reflection of his own broken spirit. He looked towards the mirror and saw it was empty. The reflections were gone, as if they had never existed. The silence in the room was deafening, a stark contrast to the chaos that had once filled his mind. He stumbled to his feet, his body aching, his mind a battlefield of exhaustion and confusion. Every step felt like a monumental effort, his legs trembling under the weight of his own despair. He touched the surface of the canvas, half expecting it to be warm, pulsating with the stolen life force of its creations. But it was just a canvas, devoid of any life, a mere object in a room filled with memories. But it was cold, inert. The chill of the canvas seeped into his bones, a reminder of the emptiness that now filled his heart. He had escaped the canvas's grasp, but at a terrible cost. The relief he felt was overshadowed by the weight of his actions, the irreversible damage he had done to his soul. The faces in the mirrors may be gone, but the memory of their accusing eyes, their desperate pleas, would forever haunt him. Each glance in a reflective surface would bring back the ghosts of his past. He had traded his soul for a taste of success, and the flavor was ashes in his mouth. The triumph he had once sought now felt hollow, a bitter reminder of what he had lost. The canvas remained blank once more, a stark reminder of his Faustian bargain. It stood there, an unspoken testament to the price of his ambition. He knew he could destroy it, but a part of him, perhaps the part forever intertwined with the canvas, wouldn't let him. The bond they shared was unbreakable, forged in the fires of his own creation. It was a trophy, a tombstone, and a warning, all in one. A symbol of his greatest achievement and his deepest regret, a paradox he would never escape. He was free, but the price of creation had been etched onto his soul, a masterpiece of sorrow he would carry with him until his dying days. The weight of his choices would follow him, a silent companion in the twilight of his life.
The ocean floor, a tapestry woven from shadows and silence. It is a realm where light is a stranger and darkness reigns supreme. Here the weight of the water presses down, creating an eerie stillness that is both beautiful and terrifying. Our submersible, the Nautilus, cut through the endless black, its powerful spotlight a lone beacon in the abyss. The light pierced the darkness, revealing glimpses of the unknown, fleeting shadows that danced just out of reach. It was as if the ocean itself was alive, watching us, waiting. A graveyard of forgotten things lay below, consumed by the deep. Sunken ships, lost treasures, and remnants of a world above, all swallowed by the relentless sea. Each object told a story, a tale of loss and mystery, of dreams that ended in the cold embrace of the ocean. We were a crew of scientists, explorers, fools, drawn to the mysteries that lay hidden beneath the waves. Our mission was to uncover the secrets of the deep, to shine a light on the unknown. But as we ventured further, we couldn't shake the feeling that we were the ones being observed. The sonar pulsed, its rhythmic ping the only sound breaking the unnerving stillness. Each pulse echoed through the submersible, a reminder of the vast emptiness that surrounded us. Yet, within that emptiness, there was something that the sonar couldn't quite capture. Captain Miller, a grizzled veteran with eyes that had seen too much, studied the readings. His face was etched with lines of worry and determination. He'd been on countless missions, but this one felt different. There was an unspoken tension, a sense that we were on the brink of a discovery that could change everything. He muttered, "There, something down there." His voice was barely above a whisper, but it carried the weight of his years at sea. We all turned to look at the sonar screen, our hearts pounding in unison. What could it be? A new species, an ancient relic, or something far more sinister? His voice was a low growl, roughened by years at sea and haunted by things he wouldn't speak of. The ocean had taken its toll on him, leaving behind a man who had seen the worst it had to offer. Yet there was a glimmer of hope in his eyes, a belief that this mission could be different. My hand instinctively went to the notebook strapped to my arm, my fingers itching to sketch the shapes the sonar hinted at. Structures, formations, something more sinister. The possibilities were endless, and my mind raced with excitement and fear. What lay beneath us could rewrite history, or it could be our undoing. We were about to find out. The Nautilus moved forward, its engines humming softly. The anticipation was palpable, a mix of dread and exhilaration. We were on the edge of a discovery, one that could either illuminate the depths or plunge us into darkness. The Nautilus descended further, into a darkness that felt almost alive. The pressure increased and the temperature dropped, but we pressed on. We were explorers, driven by curiosity and a desire to uncover the unknown. And as we ventured deeper, we couldn't help but wonder, what would the abyss reveal? The silence was broken by a low hum, barely perceptible at first. It was as if the ocean itself was awakening from a deep slumber, sending out a signal that reverberated through the very core of our vessel. It vibrated through the hull of the submarine, resonating in our teeth and bones, a haunting reminder of the immense pressure and mystery that surrounded us. The hum was not just a sound, it was a feeling, a presence that seemed to envelop us, growing stronger with each passing second. Dr. Anya Sharma, our resident archaeologist, adjusted her headset with a practiced hand. Her eyes were wide with a mix of curiosity and concern, reflecting the dim light of the control room. "Are you picking that up?" she asked, her voice tight with apprehension. The question hung in the air, heavy with the weight of the unknown. "It's faint," I replied, my own voice strained. "But definitely there. Acoustic anomaly?" The term felt inadequate to describe the eerie, almost sentient quality of the sound. The hum grew stronger, morphing into a series of clicks and whistles that seemed to echo from all directions. It was as if the ocean was trying to communicate with us, using a language we could barely comprehend. It was like the deep itself was speaking, whispering secrets best left undisturbed. The sounds were both mesmerizing and terrifying, a siren call from the abyss. "This is unlike anything I've ever encountered," Dr. Sharma admitted, her brow furrowed in concentration. Her fingers danced over the controls, trying to make sense of the data streaming in. "It's structured, almost like a language." Her words sent a chill through the room. A language? In the depths of the ocean? The implications were staggering. A shiver ran down my spine. The idea that something down here could communicate was both thrilling and terrifying. What kind of intelligence could exist in such an inhospitable place? A language? Down here in this watery abyss? I questioned, my mind racing with possibilities. Could it be a remnant of an ancient civilization, or something entirely alien? What could possibly exist that could speak? And what would it have to say to us? The questions were endless, each more daunting than the last. The submarine continued its descent, the hum growing louder, more insistent. It was as if we were being summoned, drawn deeper into the unknown. The pressure outside increased and the temperature dropped, but the hum remained constant, a beacon guiding us through the darkness. We were being drawn deeper, pulled towards something ancient and powerful. The sense of anticipation was palpable, a mix of fear and excitement, something that had slumbered for eons, until now. The realization hit us all at once. We were on the brink of a discovery that could change everything we knew about the ocean and perhaps even our place in the universe. The spotlight pierced the darkness, revealing impossibly huge structures rising from the ocean floor, towers that scraped the belly of the abyss, their surfaces covered in intricate carvings that defied the crushing pressure of the deep. This was no natural formation, this was a city. By Neptune! Captain Miller breathed, his gruff voice barely a whisper. It's magnificent. Even I, a man of science and logic, couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the sight before us. The city was a testament to a lost civilization, a civilization that had mastered the depths in ways we could only dream of. As we explored, the gliding silently through the ruins, a sense of unease settled over me. The city was too perfect, too pristine. It felt preserved, as if something was watching over it, protecting it. A chill ran down my spine. What had we woken in this silent city? The hum reached a fever pitch as we entered the city's heart, a place long forgotten by time and the world above. The underwater city, with its towering structures and intricate designs, was a marvel of ancient engineering. Each building, though worn by the relentless embrace of the sea, told a story of a civilization that once thrived in these depths. At the center of this submerged metropolis lay a massive plaza dominated by a colossal statue. The statue, standing tall and proud, was a testament to the artistry and craftsmanship of its creators. Its sheer size and presence were overwhelming, casting a long shadow over the plaza. It depicted a humanoid figure, its features eroded by time, yet still radiating an aura of power that sent shivers down our spines. The statue's eyes, though weathered, seemed to follow us, watching our every move with an intensity that was both unnerving and mesmerizing. The intricate carvings on its surface hinted at stories and legends long forgotten. It was then, in the presence of that ancient effigy, that we made our fatal mistake. The air, or rather the water around us, seemed to thicken with an unspoken warning. Yet, driven by curiosity and the promise of discovery, we pressed on, unaware of the consequences that awaited us. Dr. Sharma, her eyes gleaming with scientific fervor, insisted on activating a small, remote-controlled drone to get a closer look at the statue's inscription. Her excitement was palpable, and she spoke of the potential breakthroughs and the knowledge that could be gained from such an ancient relic. We argued against it, a primal fear gripping our hearts, but her enthusiasm was infectious, and ultimately, we relented. The team was divided, some sharing Dr. Sharma's excitement, while others, like myself, felt an inexplicable dread. The tension was palpable, and every second felt like an eternity as we debated our next move. The drone, equipped with a high-intensity light, illuminated the inscription. The ancient symbols, now visible, seemed to pulse with a life of their own. They were unlike anything we had ever seen, a language lost to time, yet resonating with a power that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. As the light touched the strange symbols, the statue seemed to shudder. A low rumble echoed through the water, and the very ground beneath us began to tremble. It was as if the city itself was awakening from a long slumber, responding to the call of the ancient script. The hum intensified, transformed into a deafening roar that shook the underwater city to its core. The structures around us groaned and creaked, and the water became a maelstrom of currents and debris. Panic set in as we realized the gravity of our actions. The once serene and silent city was now a scene of chaos and destruction. The water around us churned, and a spectral light emanated from the statue's eyes. We had awakened something terrible. The light grew brighter, and an overwhelming sense of dread washed over us. We knew in that moment that we had disturbed a force far beyond our understanding, a force that had been waiting, watching, and now was ready to reclaim its dominion. Our sanctuary just moments ago now felt like a steel coffin. The roar of the awakened entity reverberated through the hull. A physical presence that pressed in on us stole our breath. Panic flared, hot and blinding. "What have we done?" Dr. Sharma cried, her voice cracking under the strain. The lights flickered, casting grotesque shadows that danced on the walls. The instruments, once our lifeline to the world above, sputtered and died, their screens filled with static. We were cut off, alone in the abyss, with whatever we had woken. Captain Miller, his face a mask of grim determination, fought to regain control of the "We need to surface," he roared over the din, his words swallowed by the entity's chilling howl. But even as he spoke, I knew it was too late. We were trapped, ensnared in a nightmare of our own making.